Hey guys, Travis Gillespie here. Today we're looking at probability, and a good definition of probability is listed below. It's the measure of how likely an event is to occur. Another way of thinking about it is looking at the chances, or the chance, or the possibility that some event or something will happen. So the chance that some event, I'll write that down, some event will happen. Now this is a Mr. G definition above, so I would go with the textbook definition below, but this is just another way of thinking about probability. And if you look at these lines listed below here, they look to be similar. There are actually values on the bottom of these lines and words associated with those values above the line. And if we were talking about the probability of some event happening, and we were told there is a probability of 0 or 0% that this event will happen, well, we're saying it's impossible. So let's think about something that is impossible. So what if I were to tell you, if you're in a room where there's a window, and I were to say, if you look out the window, what is the chance or the probability that you'll see a unicorn out that window? And I'm talking about a real live unicorn galloping around outside. Well, hopefully, unless you're needing to see a doctor or something, you'll say, well, there's a 0% chance. You'll know that, hey, unicorns aren't real, so it would be impossible. And I'm not trying to trick you, and I'm not trying to make you think of ways to where you could see a unicorn. I'm just getting you to think logically here. So let's go to the other side of this line where we have the value 1. We're looking at a chance of 1 or 100% here. So if I were to tell you that the probability of an event occurring is 1 or 100%, then we're saying it's certain. So let's think of probabilities that would have 100% chance of happening. Well, the one I can think of right off the bat is, in order for you and I to live, we have to breathe. So one of the things I could suggest of an event happening is, within the next 10 minutes, you'll take a breath, or you'll have to go to the hospital. So breathing, it is certain that you and I must breathe. So I would suggest that in the next 10 minutes, the probability is certain that you'll take a breath in the next 10 minutes, or else you'll probably need to go to the hospital. Again, I'm not trying to get you to hold your breath and try to beat these odds. We're just thinking logically here. And then we have smack dab in the middle, this value, it's 50%, or we see a fraction of 1/2 here, and we can also see the decimal 0.5. So all of these values, decimals, fractions, and percents, can be used as probability. And it even is displayed even better in the line below here. There are numerous fractions, numbers with decimals, and percents as well. So any of these values can be used to represent probability. We may also use these words to represent probability, as you're starting to see. So let's look at an event that is, we have this, it looks weird the way that it's written, as likely as not. Well, what could be an event that is as likely as not? Well, let's just think if you have a coin in your pocket, and I'm just going to draw that coin. In fact, I'm going to draw both sides of that coin. So these two circles are going to represent the same coin. One side is going to have a heads on it. The other side is going to have tails on it. And if you were to flip that coin and let it land, well, what's the probability that it lands on heads? What's the probability that it lands on tails? Well, it's a 50-50 shot. It's just as likely that when you flip the coin will land on heads, as it is that if you were to flip it, it would land on tails. So it's just as likely either way. So it's a 50% chance, or your probability here, you would say, is as likely as not. It's as likely for one event to occur as it is for another. So it's as likely to happen as it is for it not to happen. Because if the coin lands on heads, it's as likely that it will happen. But if the coin lands on tails, it didn't land on heads, so it's as likely that it will not land on heads. The phrasing sounds a little bit weird, but I think you're starting to get the major concept here. Let's talk about these two words in the middle, unlikely and likely. And I'm actually going to use the number line, or not the number line, this line below here for those two words. Well, anything that's unlikely has to be between the values 0 and 50%. So we're talking about any number between the number 0 and 50% here for unlikely events to occur. Also, if we're looking at likely events, they have to be between the values 50 and 100. Now, these words were associated with 25% and 75%. But if I had a probability of something occurring that is 26%, well, 26 is pretty close to 25, so I would still say it's unlikely. If I had a 99% probability or chance that something will happen, well, it's not 100%, so it's not certain. The closest thing that I have is likely, so this is the only word I can use to represent 99%.